Hello, welcome to another interesting episode of the program Sports Preview on Bua Community Voice. It is another interesting time to talk about the games coming through for you. In fact, in the Carabao Cup games that happened on Wednesday night, I can tell you authoritatively for sure that the teams are pulling weight. In fact, we saw a very strong outing from Newcastle United against Tottenham. It was amazing to see Crystal Palace yet again beat Arne Slot side to inflict the sixth defeat in 7 games to that youthful Liverpool side. And also we saw Wolverhampton Wanderers give it their all yet again, though Chelsea were the team that ended it on the driving seat in that one. Liam Delap with a very stupid red card according to Enzo Maresca. All of that were the affairs in the Carabao Cup. But the Premier League comes back this weekend. And what do we do here in a platform that is proudly sponsored by our friends at MaxBet? If it's not to make sure that we'll give you a talk and take a dive into all the games coming through for the weekend. My name is Oji of Yalodobolo, and just like you know, always I'll be doing this alone. I have with me C.I. Zoro and the man born for Joe. Good to have you guys back. It's will be interesting to look at the Premier League games coming through. Brighton plays host at the Amex Stadium to Leeds United, and we'll see Burnley at the Tough Moor to host Arsenal. Crystal Palace at the Selhurst Park who hosts Brentford, and Toby Fulham who takes on Toluaroko Darres Wolverhampton Wanderers. Nottingham Forest at City Ground will take on Manchester United, and we'll see Tottenham in a London derby with Chelsea. Liverpool goes head to head with Aston Villa at the Anfield, hoping that they can pick up something and start winning from that one. Interestingly, Sunday will come with its own caliber of games. Also, you know, when we look at West Ham United at the London Stadium playing host to Newcastle United, who got a massive result over Tottenham in the Carabao Cup. City and AFC Bournemouth at the Etihad concludes all that is to be expected in the Premier League this weekend. But we cannot start off if we don't talk about Arsenal. The machine defense stronger, creating records upon record, going as much as 6 games without conceding in all competition. Arsenal, amazing feat to be achieved. In fact, we saw them go 3 games without a shot on target against them, and that is how strong they are defensively. Well, offense are making a case that if they are not as strong as they are defensively in the attacking wise, even as though comparisons have come with that team, with Jose Mourinho's team that considered just 15 in a full season. That was in the 2004-2005 season. A lot of us are saying, look, this is their season to win the Premier League. But let's look at Arsenal and this game against Burnley. Can they continue on that trajectory?
I think Arsenal-Burnley has this history that Arsenal has managed to win in their last 5 encounters. Arsenal have managed to take away 4 wins in their last 4 between this team. And the last one was a massive win, that is in 2024. It was a massive win when we won 5-0. It ended away at their stadium. They are still visiting back again. It ended 5-0. So I think it's still going to be the same ball game, considering the fact that presently the kind of team Arsenal is, as a players that are in Arsenal. Just look at the Carabao Cup what played on in the Carabao Cup yesterday. Most of the first leg players were not included in the team, except on the midfield line, where you had Eze, who always featured in almost all the matches. In the defensive line, it was a new leg all through.
And they kept it close.
And they kept it.
Okay, just before you start blowing all the horns for Arsenal, things are looking up for Burnley also, because they've had a back-to-back wins. You know, just getting in the status challenge in the Premier League currently, they have to offer as they must see what they can get against Arsenal to start showing that they are a team that want to stay up in the Premier League. Do you think there will be a strong challenge in any way for Arsenal?
No team in the Premier League is either small or big. Every team, when you get into the match, play your game.
But win probability saying Arsenal have got almost 70% of
with the present form that Arsenal possesses now, every prediction site will say Arsenal to win.
Yeah,
because you can't take it away from any team in the Premier League or any team in England at all.
But when we go by the books, it's looking like it's all Arsenal.
Yeah, but for me, I also believe the same.
Okay.
It's all Arsenal game.
Okay, we'll talk about it. Head to head, Burnley have played the opponent more often at home in the Premier League without ever winning than Arsenal. 4 of Arsenal wins therein came by a 1-0 scoreline. What are you expecting when these two teams go head to head here?
I think facts here is Arsenal is on fire. Arsenal has kept clean sheets. Stop looking at me, my brother.
No, I have to. My noisy neighbors.
Now, but let's be very factual. Burnley has not scored more than 1 goal against Arsenal in all of their 18 fixtures. You understand? So I basically feel it's a walkover for Arsenal at this particular point, because the fact that Arsenal has this machinery at their back, defense-wise, just like you all stated. But they shouldn't make the mistake of doing what they did just some days ago at the just concluded match by putting fresh legs at the back. Once they tried, Burnley will take advantage of that. But then I feel once they play at the pace at which they've been playing, Arsenal has a very superb advantage over Burnley, and it's not arguable anywhere.
Yeah, not arguable anywhere. They are very, very amazing. Arsenal have received a joint league low of 9 yellow cards this season. That's amazing. That's how disciplined they are as a unit. Not to talk about Chelsea, who is not the Reds will get there. Leslie Gochukwu linked off Livingston Ballers win at Millennium, and Arsenal saw William Saliba withdrawn with an injury against Palace. So joining the likes of Martin Odegaard and Moni Madueke, who are injured. So we wait to see if they get a chance to get back into this one and start contributing their quota for this team. Let's move away from that straight up, and it will be to talk about Nottingham Forest, who plays host to Manchester United. A lot of persons will want to talk to you about a resurgence at Manchester United, that they are looking like a new side. In fact, United fans are beginning to get hope alive. Some are even talking about being contenders for the Premier League. Nottingham Forest continue their search for their first Premier League win since the opening weekend against the for Manchester United side. We all know that they are in form. Take it anywhere, they're beginning to talk about form. But we must also look at Forest and their head-to-head. Forest have won each of their last 3 head-to-heads, 2 of which came in the City Ground, not since 1910. Have United lost 4 consecutive league matches against Forest. So it's been a long time where they've done it back to back and back, but it's getting an opportunity this time. Winning probability tells you everything you need to know. 38% for Forest, and of course 35% for United. So in as much as United are in form, a couple of us still cast doubt about what they can do as a unit. Let's get what your thoughts are about the game like this one.
Like I said earlier on, in the Premier League, no team is small.
We all know about that, but we must talk about what is on the book and what is on
what is on the book.
When the game
when you talk about Nottingham Forest against Manchester United, last season it was back-to-back home and away game for Nottingham Forest.
That's what I'm talking about. And if they can
and if they do it this time around, it means they are on fire. One thing about Premier League is that you can be losing. But when you get to a match that you know better about the match, you try and win the match. So I think if Manchester United want to keep on winning in their winning streak, they should at least tighten more of their defense, because this Nottingham Forest time, they want to gain momentum after winning in the Champions League, getting a win in the Europe. I think they want to boost their game. They want to recover from the loss in the weekend. You understand?
Okay, we must talk about it and get to look at the form and what this two stand to get. I feel for Forest because they'll be without Delane Bakwa, and they'll be without Alexander Zinchenko, who limped off in the last match. Chris Wood remained doubtful. We're not sure he's coming back anytime soon. United, I will hope that Harry Maguire is fit to return after missing their game against Brighton. But let's talk about United for once and what you feel like they are going to be getting in that game against Burnley. Against Forest,
United in their last 6 games, they scored first, and then it has always proven that whenever they start the scoring, they become unbeaten. So literally, they've won 5 and then drawn just 1 in the last 6, right? And all these 5 and 1 has always been Manchester United starting the score. The score
in games when they
understand?
score, they hardly get to be on the losing side. It's
You
so
get
frustrating.
so and then Forest on the other hand has lost last three of their Saturday held home games, and it's a disaster. The last one cost them their coach, and I think at this particular point they need a total rehabilitation, because I think this has to do with the hierarchy of leadership in the club, because it's not only affecting Nottingham, it's affecting their sister club at the other end. So I think at this particular point they need to sit down on the table, withdraw, and then see how to be able to. And at this time around, it's not solely on the owner, but on the board. Sit down, withdraw, and see where they're going to. Otherwise, Manchester United score first, and Harry Maguire on this particular one, what you know.
Okay, we'll see what happens. But let me inform you that Daesh Malik sides have failed to score in 10 of their last 14 Premier League matches, and that's a whole lot. I just hope that his side will get on scoring and see what he can get in a match like that one. It's never easy, especially when you're taking over from a sinking ship. You to stabilize it comes with lots and lots of responsibility. Let's go straight to look at Chelsea. Chelsea is having their time, in the league. Have been irregularities. In fact, news came out about Chelsea looking out for a new coach already. And if that's anything to go by, then you can start wondering what will be the situation for Enzo Maresca. I think he understands that he's a little under pressure, because they are expecting him to perform this season. Chelsea could draw level with Tottenham and make a significant climb up the Premier League table if they can bounce back from last weekend's shocking loss. And now it's Spurs. Spurs were beating just in the Carabao Cup on Thursday. Can they get back on track and start winning Spurs, or is it Chelsea who needs it the most?
I think for me, the last time these two teams that Spurs managed to get a win against Chelsea was back then in 2003, 2023 years, where they got a 2-goals lead in that game and ended it that way. So I think for Spurs to win Chelsea presently now, they need to put all their heads together. What happened in their last game against Newcastle should not take them away from what they are presently. They are presently sitting comfortable at the third position in the Premier League, in the tables. They are sitting third, while Chelsea is at the ninth position of the table. So any win from Chelsea will bring Chelsea to that position. If Chelsea manage to get that 4 goals to ascertain the goals that Tottenham has, which is 10 goals against Chelsea. They are 10 goals ahead.
Just so early to start counting.
No, I know, but it's so early.
How many games in the season?
Yeah,
it's not about table placement for now. If you ask me, it's about getting those results.
One thing about this match is that Chelsea has to be disciplined. They have to be discipline their players in case of all this card issue, because there's something like someone once said, red card FC. I wonder where that one is coming from. In all their matches,
I knew you were going to come to that.
In all their matches, they managed to at least if the yellows are not there, you get a red card.
Well, all the same, talking about red, it will be important to also note that Chelsea will be without Liam Delap, who made his return from injury just in the midweek. But the red card that he collected means that he's back to the sidelines for this game. Let me also tell you that Tottenham, Dejan Kulusevski, Dominic Solanke, Ben Davies, and James Maddison, they headline the Tottenham several key players who are absent at the moment. CI, let's talk Chelsea up against Tottenham.
Chelsea is Chelsea's playing well, but Chelsea is dealing with a lot of youthful exuberance and lack of discipline. I wouldn't stop emphasizing on that. I think Maresca needs to work extra hard on that, because how do you explain that the lab has been anticipated to come back, only for him to come back changing Estavo and then coming in barely 20 minutes or less into the match, and then he's getting a red card, double yellow card in how many minutes? It's something very, very unprofessional as far as I'm concerned. Now he's going to miss another match. You understand? It's something that we shouldn't even have, because that particular red card, just like the other red cards, has always been very, in all with all due respect, very silly and very very unnecessary. Because how do you come in the last few red cards before the lapse on, come in and then you ask yourself, you are winning the match, why did you go through this route? You know, yes, we were lucky enough to have won the last one. Chelsea was lucky enough to have won the last one, but then it says a lot about Chelsea's I would use the word inexperience. They have skilled players, they have one of the best grooming up, you know, but then Chelsea needs to improve.
High level of naivety.
Yes.
And that's what it's all about. And when you have naive players at that young age, that's why I talked about having a leader who can control tempers. But then Enzo said he spoke to him about that yellow card, stay calm. And they were both unnecessary. But let's talk Chelsea. Were one of the three sides, along with Brentford and Fulham, to score first and lose two separate games in the first 9 rounds of the Premier League. Remember that Chelsea scored first and almost lost in that Carabao Cup.
Yeah.
They ran away 3 goals to nothing in the first half, but they get later in the 4-3. It was just a little, if not for that Jimmy Gittins goal, the story would have been different. And we can also attribute that Jimmy Gittins goal to chance, because I feel like Chelsea have got a lot of work to do. The favourite on the day also has the same record, you know, winning 3, drawing 2, and losing 4. Chelsea's 9 league games. So you look at all of these pre-match analysis, and you understand that you cannot tell specifically where the pendulum will be swinging in a match like this one. So to conclude for inside the games coming through on Saturday, let's go straight to talk about Liverpool. I feel like Liverpool deserve a full episode of its own, but let's just try and talk about Liverpool as much as we can. I, for one, I feel like it's going to be tough. If you actually saw Aston Villa play last weekend, you'll be able to agree with me that it's going to be tough for Liverpool. I'm talking about Aston Villa, who got that 1-0 win over Manchester City. Late goal to make sure that they beat City. Their only loss have just been in their last 5 games was that loss against Go Ahead Eagles. That was in the Europa League. So if you look at what they've achieved, they are beating Feyenoord 2 goals to nothing. They beat Burnley 2 goals to 1. It ended 2-1 against Tottenham Hotspur before losing to Go Ahead Eagles and then beating Man City. And now it is a very, very shaky and not informed Liverpool team. Remember that Palace have beat them in their home ground of Anfield, so you cannot even say Anfield is the fortress anymore. What are we expecting? The only commonality between this disgruntled Liverpool and the high-flying Aston Villa is that they sit even on 15 points in the Premier League table, with all sorts of records set to tumble when they meet at Anfield here. It's going to be a match that I feel like Aston Villa will want to inflict yet another pain. And just like you mentioned before we started recording, that it could be Alisson last game in charge of Liverpool, you never can tell. Sacked in the morning, you never can tell what's happening. So let's talk about this game.
I think Liverpool presently are facing, I don't know the dilemma they are facing, because in their last 6, they've managed to just win 1 match.
Some person said it is Diego Jota's death that is the problem.
Diego Jota's death is a problem, but in the pre-seasons, they did well.
I disagree.
No.
I disagree. The team is, yes, psychological effects can happen, but the team has always been a team of the shuffle. Yes, they've had some constant players that played season in, season out, the likes of Mo Salah, the likes of Diego Jota, just like you mentioned, may he so rest in peace, and then the likes of Alexander Arnold, and just to mention a few of them. But that pattern the guy came with, which is Slot came with this particular season, was, as far as I'm concerned, a very rubbish pattern. How do you bring up a pattern of you're not being what's the word? You're not being skillful with or technical with how you play. How do you bring up a pattern of last minute goal scorings? You wait. Even Bayern, who has been known for that for some years back then, even had to reshuffle at some point. So why would you always wait for a particular ending point?
I don't really think it's a pattern.
It's
I feel
not-
like it's when the difficulties started creeping in.
Yes, they now make use of that.
Like it's not like making use. It's when you're like it's like you're not playing well. So when you see that very slightest chance that your opponent is weak, tiredness creeps in, then you can just use that mental strength that you've had solid, strong players to win. So I do not feel like and it's not had a pattern of let's win.
But I think the
I feel
problem,
like that was when the problem started with the team.
but
But I also wanted to point out that Salah is not in form, and I can tell you qualitatively that Salah was the one that won the league.
yes, it was
Last
Salah.
season,
But
after the season.
presently now, the problem I think that is happening to Liverpool is their keeper.
Alisson.
Alisson not being in that team is a problem. It's a big problem for them.
Maybe it's why Arsenal had to make a plan to get Kepa Arrizabalaga, because I was wondering why a keeper who was the first choice at his club last season would want to sit on the bench to deputize for David Raya.
Yeah.
So I feel like you're right. You might have a point there that
Because
if you are lacking a good goalkeeper, you can be in a huge trouble. And I feel like ever since
because the defense line, the keeper manages the defense line,
and
tells them where to be at every moment.
also starts the attack in
Yes.
some cases. I feel like you have a point there.
So I think that's the really problem that's going. And presently, you know that Flipon is out of the game for them. They have this injury, and even Isak is probably like Isak will not be even playing in this match. So I think Villa side,
So we understand that Liverpool probably has that fault with the Nets, but then these people did one of the biggest signings in their front. So while we understand that particular pattern, we have experienced defenders at that particular place to be able to cover the goalkeeper. Yes, there should be technicalities here and there, but then they cover the goalkeeper well enough. What happens to the attack? Do you know that most of the times they concede more? They concede 3 goals to nothing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If the morale, although you cannot attribute the team that played against Palace as Liverpool team, but I'm saying that if you ship in goals, you're going to demoralize the team. And if your talisman, the man who you depend on for goals, is not coming through, when was the last time Mohamed Salah saw the net? And that's why Saudi Arabia is saying now that the offer to get him to Saudi Arabia is still open, that he can come join in January. But let's not dwell so much on it. All of Liverpool's 4 league defeats recently, I've seen them concede first within the opening 15 minutes. Back to defense, back to goalkeeper. And just 2 of Liverpool's last 9 home league games were decided by a 2 plus goal margin. So the pre-match favorites has won only 2 of Villa's 9 league games this season, drawing 3 and losing 4. So when you look at all of these points, and like you pointed out, Liverpool injury list continues to grow. Big names: Alexander Isak, Jeremy Frimpong confirmed spells on the sideline, while Villa themselves have confirmed that Emiliano Buendia will be out for a few weeks. So they'll be depending on what Mohamed Salah can do. He's just 1 goal contribution shy of a Premier League record for one club set by 276 goals for one club. And if he can get the goal, he can get into that 276 goals record for United. The Egyptian have got 275 goals contribution. That is goal and assist. So he's got 187 goals with 88 assists for the team. And I think he's an important figure. He understands that he needs to start getting the assist or the goal to at least come at the same level with Wayne Rooney when it comes to goal contribution. So look forward to what happens in that game. To wrap it all off on the program today, we go straight up to what happens on Sunday. West Ham up against Newcastle. West Ham United, they've entered crisis mode, obviously, as they are deeply embedded in the relegation zone, while visitors Newcastle United will be looking to continue their march up the table. Nuno Espirito Santo, I feel for him with the outcome of things at leaving Nottingham Forest, coming now to be the Messiah for West Ham. But he can do it. I feel like there's enough time to save the team from relegation. They might not be talking about Europe, but they just want to stay up. And I think January will bring a huge opportunity to reshuffle that team and start fighting. But they need to fight now. And I don't think Newcastle will have any pity about their condition in beating them mercilessly in this fixture in the London.
So it's not going to be an easy match for both teams. You understand? Even with the crisis at West Ham, I think they will manage to get something out of this match for me. And I think playing at home against Newcastle. In their last game they lost at home to Newcastle 1-0. But in this present match, I think even if they don't get a win, I see a draw in that match because Newcastle is not even that perfect when it comes to that. They're not managing that they won Tottenham in Carabao Cup 2-0.
So let's look at West Ham last games. They were beaten by Palace 2-1. They had a 1-1 draw with Everton. It was Arsenal who beat them 2-0. Brentford beat them 2-0. And they lost to Leeds United 2-1. Just that one draw with Everton, just in between is what says it. And if you look at Newcastle, they got a 2-0 win over Nottingham Forest. They lost to Brighton. And ever since then, a 3-0 win over Jose Mourinho's Benfica. A 2-1 win over Marco Silva's Fulham. And of course, beating Tottenham Hotspur, headed by Thomas Frank. That was in the EFL Cup on Thursday. 2-0. Tells you about a team in form. And look at all of their last games together, dating back to 2023. They've been Newcastle who got a 5-1 win over West Ham in 2023. In the second leg, it was 2-2 draw. They got a 4-3 win in 2024. They beat West Ham beat Newcastle 2-0 in 2024. And then Newcastle with that 1-0 win that you talked about in their last outing. And I think you're right about the game not being easy. Nuno Espirito Santo must be tinkering how to get that result going. Because I feel like a single win will get their morale back that we can do it and we can survive. What's your take on this one?
So personally, I think West Ham, if technically looked into well by their coach, I think they have that particular strength of, matching it head to head with Newcastle. Although they have a very poor record of scoring just once, just one first half goal this entire Premier League season. That's like poor, But then 6 of their 8 home games has seen both teams score, which is still not a bad start. But it becomes bad when even after those things you get to lose at the end of the day. You understand? So I feel that it will take a lot of discipline and technical know-how to be able to match the Newcastle down, because Newcastle is not, they're just there. They're not fantastic, and they're still not bad at the same time. You understand? So I feel that they could be able to match it up. Although they have this record that they have just won 2 of their last 12 head-to-heads with Newcastle, drawing 4 and then losing 6. Now I was talking about West Ham. But I'm looking at the new leadership in the club, and then looking at things that could be able to be possible with that particular new leadership. Because just like you said, there's still time to be able to avert a lot of things if given the opportunity. So if we are to look at it that way, they might be able to match Newcastle.
Yeah, matching Newcastle will be the plan for Nuno Espirito Santo and his boys. But with Konstantinos Mavropanos already injured, West Ham would have hated to see the young defender Oliver Scarlett leap off early against Leeds United. While Newcastle fortunately had no new injury report, so that is great for Newcastle United. I can tell you that last season injuries were a huge problem at Newcastle. So starting off without those injuries puts the team at a very, very comfortable state. Don't forget that the program is proudly sponsored by our friends at MaxBet. Yes, MaxBet are the proud sponsors of this one. www.maxbet.ng. And I can't tell you guys enough for the superb analysis, but we cannot go if we do not dive into some of the predictions that we are expecting when it comes to these games. And so let me start off with Burnley up against Arsenal. I know what you say, but say
Strictly fast.
What you up against Arsenal?
We already know that it's a walkaway for us.
Of course, I feel like straight win Arsenal, and of course a clean sheet yet again against Burnley. I feel.
But I like Premier League for one reason. So sometimes there's a lot of surprises.
And the shocks can come. What's your first up against Manchester United?
Say Manchester United straight away.
United, looking confident with predictions for United.
I see a draw, a go.
Go or draw?
Go or draw at this particular point.
Okay, we'll see Tottenham Hotspur will be up against Chelsea at the new Tottenham Stadium.
Say go.
Go.
I think it's actually Chelsea win.
Okay, and I feel like Chelsea to get another director. Very huge option to go for. Liverpool takes on Aston Villa.
Aston Villa straight away.
Aston Villa straight away up against Liverpool. Guys,
Is a late winner for Liverpool.
late winner for Liverpool. So Liverpool straight away in your prediction. That means they'll be getting their second win in 8 fixtures if that happens. West Ham United takes on Newcastle.
See a Newcastle win.
Okay, Newcastle.
I see a draw match.
Okay, the way you're talking about draw, I think you had something to do with pool display. Okay, City takes on AFC Bournemouth to wrap it all up on Sunday.
I see a go match.
Go.
Is a straight win.
Straight with Manchester City, of course. You can just look at all of that. Don't forget our friends at MaxBet are our sponsors. This is the point to say goodbye on this episode. Thank you very much, CI. Thank you very much, Bonfrey. Of course, to Ulama who was behind the camera, say thank you. And from all of us at Boa Community Voice, we urge you to like, share, and make sure that you subscribe on Boa Community Voice to keep being a part of the beautiful things going on here. Adios, amigo.